Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Beginning in central Nebraska, where authorities were investigating a single vehicle crash that claimed a teenager's life on Christmas night. The Buffalo County Sheriff's Office says it happened around 8:40 p.m. on a gravel road 15 miles north of Kearney. According to a news release, a 17-year-old boy was driving a pickup when it left the road, rolled, and struck a power pole. The crash ejected the 17-year-old from the truck, and he died at the scene. Emergency personnel transported 3 other passengers, each 15 years old, to local hospitals. All 4 teens were from Ravenna. A Grand Island man behind bars after police say he left the scene of a fatal accident. Grand Island police say the crash happened around 3 a.m. Christmas morning at a residential intersection on the south side of town. A news release says the driver of a car involved in the crash died on site. Police say 1 vehicle fled the scene, but the car's license plate fell off. Police were eventually able to track the plate to Pedro Chavez Rodriguez, who admitted to being in the accident. Police arrested him for driving without a license and leaving the scene of a fatality crash. Authorities have yet to release any information about the crash victim. Nebraska's governor continues to recover in the hospital following a weekend accident. Governor Jim Pillen's office said in an update Wednesday that the governor's broken ribs are now the primary focus of his treatment. State officials say Pillen underwent a procedure to use metal plates to stabilize his broken ribs. Pillen also suffered injuries to his kidney, lung, and spleen after he was bucked off a horse near Columbus over the weekend. He's expected to remain in the hospital for several more days for recovery and observation. Well, farmers in Nebraska and across the nation might not be as much in panic mode anymore thanks to another extension of the Farm Bill, but many say they still want Congress to look past political divisions and ensure producers are getting the right support for the long haul. As part of their budget deal to avoid a government shutdown, federal lawmakers have also decided to keep the current Farm Bill, which technically expired last year, in place for another year. It's usually updated every 5 years. The Nebraska Farmers Union says it's a tough market right now. They say they were happy to see economic and disaster aid included, but they say farming communities still feel overlooked.
Those of us who represent agriculture see a deepening financial crisis that a lot of farm families are facing, and we look to Congress for relief.
Advocates say they hope a new Congress doesn't fall into the same trap it did last year. They say a permanent plan is needed.
As we look into the next year, we hope that the Farm Bill does not languish for another September 30th deadline.
Farmers are still largely working under 2018 spending levels, even as their operational costs go higher. And one key provision kept off the table would have granted nationwide year-round sales of E15 blends of ethanol. The Farmers Union says that would open more markets for farmers, but there's a broad range of opponents of that move, including many in the oil industry. Bird flu, meanwhile, still having an impact on the ag industry, but as Reed Binion reports, it's now affecting other animals and continuing to worry health experts.
Over 125 million domestic poultry have been either culled or died as a consequence of this virus over the last year.
Concern over bird flu is growing among some health experts.
This bird virus, H5N1, is circulating widely in domestic poultry and on dairy farms.
One point of concern is the spread of the disease in cattle.
Hundreds of dairy herds have been infected.
Nearly 900 herds across 16 states have tested positive.
And there have only been 65 human infections, which is excellent news.
The disease prompted a Portland-based pet food company to issue a nationwide voluntary recall after a house cat in Oregon died from eating one of its products, which tested positive for bird flu. Meanwhile, in neighboring Washington state, bird flu killed more than half the big cats at a sanctuary.
We've lost 20 cats due to this virus or symptoms thereof of this bird flu virus. And you think hopefully it's a bad dream, but it's not.
It's unknown just how the animals contracted the virus. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
There will soon be an open judge seat in northeast Nebraska. State court officials say 7th Judicial District Judge Mark Johnson retiring on January 15th. Johnson has served on the bench in northeast Nebraska since April of 2013. He's presided over hundreds of cases, including serving on the panel that sentenced convicted murderer Nico Jenkins of Omaha to death in 2016. Prior to serving as district court judge, Johnson practiced law in Norfolk for 27 years and also served as deputy county attorney for Dodge County. A new shop celebrating an old hobby now open in Kearney. Mike Johnson opened Hot Corner Cards and Collectibles this month. Soon it'll include collectibles from the music industry, but for now, the focus is on sports cards. Johnson says he started collecting cards 4 decades ago when the hobby was hot. Now, he says card buying, selling, and trading is surging again.
The number one thing that re-energized the sport card industry is COVID. Everybody was at home, stuck, not being able to go anywhere, couldn't travel anywhere, and everybody started digging through their old collections. The market all of a sudden just got crazy hot for even the old stuff, especially the Jordan stuff.
This isn't Johnson's first foray into the industry. He ran a card shop called the Gridiron while he went to college in Kearney. Now he's getting back into it more than 25 years later. A new exhibit at a northeast Nebraska museum finding ways to explore and foster innovative thinking in kids. Hanky Hazelton has more.
It's a touring exhibit, but unlike most of the touring exhibits, it's long-term. So we'll actually have it for at least the next 6 months, which is really exciting. And I think it'll make field trip season even more fun for us. It's a hands-on exhibit as well. So, typically when you come to the museum, it's like, okay, we have some rules. We don't need to touch things. And this one, we're like, touch it all. Move the things, press the buttons, look at the books. So it's really a great opportunity to kind of engage our visitors in a different way.
Although the exhibit may seem like it only attracts children, it appeals to many adults like Libby as well.
One of my favorite things is there's something called magnetide, and so you use this magnet to grab these magnetic nanomolecules basically, and it slides up in a special fluid and kind of creates, they look like little creatures, I think. There's also a butterfly that you can shine light through and see exactly how their wings are kind of these tiny little structures.
Another thing that makes this exhibit so unique is its inclusiveness and the way it involves another language for others.
It's actually in both English and Spanish, so I'm really hoping that makes it more accessible for everyone in our community, and it's something that we're hoping to do here with other exhibits as well.
Out of all the places this could have toured, why here in Norfolk? Libby says she hopes that this is going to give people a glimpse into the future of what else Northeast Nebraskans could create, like your 2-square tractor designed by farmers. She hopes and thinks that this is the future exhibit that could maybe give and gain that interest for youth and to know it can all be done right here. In Norfolk, reporting from the Elkhorn Valley Museum, Hanky Hazelton, News Channel, Nebraska.
And finally, 4 years ago, there were folks in a southeast Nebraska town that felt their hometown was lacking some of the festivities that had become Christmas classics in other locations. And now, thanks to the contributions of many, Christmas at Crystal Springs is bigger than ever. Tim Hackett has more.
For the past 4 years, starting around Thanksgiving, Fairbury has been ringing in the holiday season by decking out the Crystal Springs campground with a lights display that's quickly become a local Christmas classic.
It's so wonderful to see this grow into what it has, from where we started with basically nothing, and now we've got so many people involved, and we've got miles and miles of lights out here, and it's really a neat deal. It's very humbling.
In year one, Christmas at Crystal Springs consisted of a small core crew of people stringing lights across a couple of campsites. Now in year 4, there's close to 2 miles of lights that run all around the campground, circling the lake in the middle. It's a year-long planning and fundraising process that culminates with one big flash of light for the full month of December.
In addition to the lights around the lake you see behind me every night in the month of December, This year's Christmas at Crystal Springs event also featured carriage rides through the property on the Sunday night before Christmas, and on the Saturday night before Christmas, a live nativity from Grace Lutheran Church, all of which have combined to make this year's event the biggest one yet.
With lights set up by local individuals, families, and businesses dotting the sides of the main pathway through the park, Grace Lutheran's live nativity takes up residents along the home stretch. For one night close to Christmas, more than a dozen members of both the church and local communities dress up as angels, shepherds, the wise men, and recreate the classic manger scene, shining a light back on the religious meaning of the Christmas season.
When they got involved our second year, that's when I really felt like we have something cool here, you know. It took on a whole new meaning for me and for everyone, really. It's really a special feeling, and that's why you see so many cars going through the park tonight. It's nonstop traffic all night long.
Schmidt said the original idea for the event was born when a group of people from Fairbury met up after seeing a Christmas lights display in Belleville, Kansas, about 45 miles to the southwest, and decided to recreate it in their own image back at home. And now, with the fourth year of Christmas at Crystal Springs fully underway, it's safe to say that initial dream has become a reality. In Fairbury, Tim Hackett, News Channel, Nebraska.
And you can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com. Click on the News tab there. You can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. This is News Channel Nebraska.